Did ancient Egypt have electricity? It's a question that has sparked endless debate, viral videos, late-night documentaries, and more than a few heated comment sections. When you look at the pyramids, the precision of their construction, the intricate carvings inside deep underground chambers, and the sheer scale of their monuments, it's easy to wonder, how did they really do all this? And more importantly, did they have access to some form of advanced technology that we've misunderstood or forgotten? Today, we're going to explore the claims, the evidence, the myths, and the science behind one of the most fascinating alternative history theories out there. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, grounded understanding of what we actually know and what remains speculation. Let's start with the origin of the idea. The theory that ancient Egypt had electricity is largely rooted in two main pieces of evidence that are often brought up in discussions. The first is the so-called Dendera Light, a carving found in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera. The second is something known as the Baghdad Battery, an artifact discovered in Iraq that some claim proves ancient civilizations understood basic electrical principles. These two elements are often woven together into a larger narrative that suggests ancient people were far more technologically advanced than mainstream archaeology admits. Let's talk about the Dendera relief first. Inside the Temple of Hathor, which dates back to the Ptolemaic period, there are large carvings that appear to show what looks like a giant light bulb. You can see a bulb-shaped object with what resembles a filament inside, connected to a sort of box, sometimes interpreted as a power source. To modern eyes, especially in a world surrounded by glass bulbs and electric light, it's striking. It really does look like a primitive light fixture. And when you imagine dark underground chambers filled with detailed carvings and no obvious soot from torches, it's tempting to conclude that the Egyptians must have had some alternative lighting method, perhaps electricity. But here's where context becomes everything. Egyptologists and scholars who study ancient Egyptian religion and symbolism explain that the Dendera light bulb is not a light bulb at all. It's a symbolic depiction rooted in Egyptian mythology. The oval shape is widely interpreted as representing a lotus flower, and inside it is a serpent, often associated with the god Harsomptus. The filament is actually the snake's body. The so-called power cable is interpreted as a stylized representation of a D-jed pillar, which symbolizes stability. And the box-like structure is associated with ritual objects. In other words, what looks like a technological device to us is actually religious symbolism, carved in a style consistent with other Egyptian art of the period. Now, about those underground chambers and the lack of soot. It's often claimed that there is no soot on the ceilings of tombs, and therefore the Egyptians must have used electric lighting. However, this claim doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Archaeologists have found soot in some tombs, but more importantly, they've identified other lighting techniques that don't require electricity. One of the most plausible methods involves the use of oil lamps with well-trimmed wicks, which produce minimal smoke when properly maintained. Additionally, there is evidence suggesting that polished metal mirrors may have been used to reflect sunlight into darker areas, though this method has its limitations. The key point is that we have no physical remains, no wires, no copper generators, no glass bulbs, no power stations that would support the existence of an electrical grid or electrical devices in ancient Egypt. Now, let's turn to the Baghdad Battery. This artifact, discovered near Baghdad and dated to the Parthian period, consists of a clay jar with a copper cylinder and an iron rod inside. When filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or grape juice, it can produce a small electrical charge, essentially functioning as a primitive battery. Experiments have demonstrated that it can generate about 1 volt of electricity. That's enough to spark curiosity, but not enough to power light bulbs or illuminate massive temple complexes. And importantly, the Baghdad Battery was not found in Egypt. It belongs to a completely different region and culture, separated by both geography and time from the Old Kingdom builders of the pyramids. Even if we assume that ancient people stumbled upon simple electrochemical reactions, there is no evidence that such knowledge was widespread, industrialized, or used for large-scale applications. Producing electricity in a jar is one thing. Harnessing it, distributing it, and building infrastructure around it is something entirely different. The leap from a small experimental cell to an electrically lit pyramid is enormous, and there's no archaeological evidence bridging that gap. Another argument sometimes made is that the precision of pyramid construction itself implies advanced, possibly electrical tools. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, is an engineering marvel. Its alignment with the cardinal directions is incredibly precise. The limestone blocks fit tightly together. Some granite stones were transported from hundreds of miles away. It's easy to look at that and think, surely this required advanced machinery. But here's the thing. Advanced does not necessarily mean electrical. Archaeologists have uncovered a wealth of evidence showing that the Egyptians used copper tools, stone hammers, wooden sledges, ramps, and massive labor forces to achieve these feats. We found tool marks. We found workers' villages. We found records of labor crews. The picture that emerges is one of organized human effort, not hidden power plants. There's also a broader psychological factor at play here. We live in an age of electricity. It powers our homes, our cities, our entire digital world. So, when we see something impressive from the past, we instinctively interpret it through the lens of our own technological framework. If we can't immediately understand how something was done, we sometimes assume it must have required something similar to what we use today. But ancient civilizations developed technologies that were sophisticated in their own context. They understood astronomy, geometry, medicine, and architecture at impressive levels without needing electricity to get there. It's also important to address the idea that knowledge of electricity might have been lost. Some proponents argue that perhaps Egypt once had advanced technology that was destroyed or hidden, leaving little trace. While it's true that history is incomplete and some knowledge has been lost over time, technological systems leave behind infrastructure. Electrical systems require conductors, insulators, generators, and distribution networks. These leave material evidence. We have found ancient pottery, tools, jewelry, inscriptions, and even food remnants preserved for thousands of years. If there had been copper wiring running through temples or glass bulbs lighting tombs, we would expect at least fragments of such technology to survive. So far, none have been found in any credible archaeological excavation. Another layer of this discussion involves the difference between mystery and evidence. Ancient Egypt is full of mysteries. How exactly certain ramps were designed, the precise logistics of stone transport, the detailed rituals performed in temples. But mystery does not equal proof of electricity. The absence of a fully detailed explanation doesn't automatically validate a technological alternative. Science works by building theories on evidence that can be tested and replicated. In the case of ancient Egyptian electricity, The evidence simply isn't there. That doesn't mean the fascination is misplaced. In fact, the fascination speaks to how extraordinary ancient Egyptian civilization truly was. The pyramids, temples, obelisks, and tomb paintings are so impressive that they feel almost out of place in a world thousands of years removed from our own. The Egyptians mastered stone architecture on a scale that would challenge even modern engineers without heavy machinery. They created a writing system that lasted for millennia. They developed complex religious cosmologies and administrative systems. None of that requires electricity to be remarkable. There's also a deeper lesson here about how we evaluate extraordinary claims. When someone suggests that ancient Egypt had electricity, it's not enough to point to a carving that resembles a light bulb. We need physical artifacts that function as electrical devices, consistent manufacturing patterns, and supporting written documentation. Ancient Egyptians were prolific record keepers. They documented taxes, harvests, rituals, and construction projects. If electricity had been part of their technological toolkit, it would likely have appeared in some form in their texts or material culture. So, where does that leave us? Based on the current archaeological record, there is no credible evidence that ancient Egypt had electricity in the way we understand it today. The Dendera relief is symbolic religious art. The Baghdad Battery, while intriguing, is geographically and culturally separate and far too limited in output to support large-scale electrical use. The construction of the pyramids and temples can be explained through well-documented ancient engineering methods. The lack of wires, generators, bulbs, and infrastructure strongly suggests that electricity was not part of Egyptian civilization. At the same time, questioning history isn't a bad thing. Curiosity drives discovery. Many breakthroughs have come from people who dared to ask unconventional questions. But curiosity must be paired with evidence. When we separate the awe-inspiring achievements of ancient cultures from modern technological projections, we gain a deeper appreciation for what humans are capable of with ingenuity, organization, and determination alone. Ancient Egypt did not need electricity to build wonders. What they had was time, manpower, mathematical understanding, and a worldview that placed monumental architecture at the center of spiritual and political life. Their achievements stand as a testament not to lost high technology, but to human creativity and persistence. And perhaps that's even more impressive. Because it means that without wires, without generators, without light bulbs, they shaped stone into eternity and left a legacy that still lights up our imagination thousands of years later. What if everything we've been taught about ancient Egypt is missing one shocking detail? If the pyramids were built without electricity, how did they really light those hidden chambers? And if they did have advanced technology, why hasn't a single wire ever been found? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might see the ancient world in a completely different light. If you love deep dives into history's biggest mysteries, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think ancient Egypt had electricity, or is the real story even more fascinating?